Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Thank you very much for joining me. Not really keen on this camera, to be honest. Is there any chance you could mess with the lights on me, Mark? It's a bit blown out. Might be the TV. Just turn the big light up on it. Put that one in. Turn it out. Try that one. Yeah, that's a bit better. It's just, I don't know what's going on. It's my new laptop, so I'm just getting used to it. But I'm hoping it's going to enable me to share my screen with you all. Let me know if it's okay out there. It looks a bit choppy for me from my end. I can see everyone's come in. I can see Joe and Darren, Sarah and Brian. There's Vicky. Kays. Quite a few of you in tonight. That's lovely. So what I'm hoping to do tonight is I'm going to take you through a few things. Oh, thank you, Paddy. That's really kind of you. I'm going to take you through way back to when I first started going into the woodland, and I thought that everything out there was Bigfoot related or woodroost related, even though I had quite a knowledge of the outdoors. So what I'm hoping I can do tonight is take you back through BBR, back to those days, and show you all of the mistakes that I made. And then that way, you don't have to make them yourselves. There's a lot of misinformation out there, isn't there? But this is where it started for me last week. I'm not sure if you caught me, but some people will have caught me on Scottish radio. I think I was on Radio BBC last week in Scotland. And it's all to do with the new TikTok craze of really the videos that are out where the creature sits at the tree and waits for you to film, and then you shake your video camera and you put it down and you run away. Getting a bit sick of it. And they were asking me my opinion on it, and I explained to them that being a witness, I found it quite insulting, because if they were really confronted by a 900-pound cryptid, I'm sure they would behave in a very different way. And she agreed with me. You'll have seen the video. It's an orange-coloured Sasquatch sat underneath the tree, and it's actually an advert for a cannabis shop in America. So all of the experts that have been declaring it as legitimate and stating that it's their friends, and it's come off a GoPro camera of their friends, I now know those people cannot be trusted, because it's literally an advert, and you can go and see the advert yourself on YouTube. It's really, really easy these days to get a Bigfoot suit. It didn't used to be, but TikTok and Temu, in their wisdom, sell them, and they're very good suits at the moment. So I would suggest that if a Bigfoot is lit up and it's sat at the side of a tree, or it's walking up and down allowing you to film it, I would go with your gut instinct on that and disregard it, because I don't know anybody that's caught any video of a real Bigfoot and put it on TikTok. And I'm just going to say it now. If anybody sends me a video from TikTok, I say, oh, I'm not watching it, it's off TikTok. It's just about clicks and likes, TikTok. It's not about being genuine. Yeah. There's another one doing the rounds where the guy's got on a horseback, and you can see an old stump in the woods, and people are like, look how frightened the horse is. The horse is really scared. The horse's ears are not even moving. The only reason that horse is twitching is because its rider's holding it back, and it doesn't understand why it's being held back. So its ears are all over the show trying to work out, it's a horse listens to the rider, and this rider's giving it false information, and that's why it's reacting. There are a lot of frauds out there, let's be honest. So I'm hoping today we can cut through some of that and get back to real on the ground. So we're going to start today as if we've never been in a woodland before. We've never investigated Bigfoot before. We've not done any of those things. So let me see if I can work out how I share my screen with you guys. There we go. Got it. Right. Right, give me a little second and I'll get this set up. I'm actually on my new laptop at the moment. So if I make a mess of anything, I'm sorry. It's just I don't know my way around it. I need to get off there. There we Right, 1 second. What I'm doing is I'm just getting into the BBR group so I can get into the. There's a lot of people join the group, and I don't think they realise just how many. Just take me a second while I get in there. 1 moment. I shall be plugging this into the internet next week and not doing it by the Wi-Fi because I can see that it's choppy. Right, 1 sec. Media. Let me get you down there. Albums. Right, so I'm going to go all the way back, as far back as I can go, to about 2012, when BBR started. Right, share screen. Pops up on my screen. Go. So as you can see, these go back, oh God, so many years. Now, I brought myself a few notes. I want to go through it all. I'm going to show you photographs of, the best way for me to explain this is my filing system. So this is what I did very early on in BBR. Anything that was out there that we couldn't describe or didn't understand went into these albums. And it's been a very long time and I haven't edited them out. So I've not taken anything out that I should have done, that I should have ruled out. So I am going to take you now to, let me get there. This is very interesting. This is the Vinca language. And I'm hoping you can see that on your screens. Yeah, so that's the Vinca language. And that is a language that's never been decoded. It was one of the first written languages in Europe. And if you look at it and study it, some of the very small glyphs that we find. Have you got a blank screen? There we go. Let me check out where you've got a blank screen. Right, now it's on. Come on, good. So I'm hoping you can see those letters there on the Vinca language. So they look a bit like runes. So some people can see it and some people can't see it. I'm not really sure what to do about that. Right, I think it's taking a second for it to come in to you guys. So I'll slow myself down so I know what I'm doing. Right, so look up Vinca. It's just, I'll spell it in the chat for you. It's Vinca. And it is one of Europe's oldest written languages. And sometimes in the woodlands, we find these runic symbols made of sticks that are out there. And people don't really understand what they are. And they are. So that's why me and Adam and everybody else, we started looking through runes and things like that to see if we could, make it easy for you guys to understand what we're actually trying to talking about. So you can see there now. Lots of these different rune signs you will have seen yourselves in your research areas. One I see quite often is the one for man, which is, it's like an M, looks like a bra upside down. That's how I recognize it. But let me see what else I can show you. You have to bear with me, guys. This is absolutely brand new laptop, so I'm really unsure how to work my way around it, but I get it. How do I get off that? Try that. See if that works. There's a particular. Right, here we go. So these are some of the things that over time I felt were incredibly important. And some of them, and people will not understand why I'm showing this, but I think it needs to be shown. Every now and again, we find within the woodlands sticks that are pushed into the ground. They're usually about to your mid, on me, about my hip. So I would imagine on a man about mid-thigh, something like that. and they are pushed into the ground. And I am absolutely convinced that they are grounding sticks. There's no reason for them to be stuck in the ground like this, pointing. And they all point in the same direction. They all point to the east. And I don't know why that's the case, but they do. So people have been sending me these for absolutely years. And I'd be really interested to know if you have anything like this in your research area. You can pull it out of the ground and you can pop it back in again. And if you're seeing the ones that I'm showing you now, it tends to have like a white end to it so that you can see it in the dark. Yeah, usually you see you're on the right one. So I don't know what these are for, but we worked out between ourselves that they are normally on areas of high energy, to the point that one guy followed about, I think it was about 17 or 20 of them, and he'd see one, follow the direction it was pointing, and then he'd come across another one, and he'd follow that, and he'd come across another one. And then at the end of that, there was a huge, almost teepee-like structure, not a shelter or a birthing den or anything like that. A number of sticks arranged in a pyramid that kind of amplified the energy of the area. And I don't know how to explain that. Almost like a battery. I think these sticks, and you see the white ends on them, and they stand out really easily. They're not growing from the ground up and they've been snapped. They've been snapped from other places and pushed into the ground. And as you can see on most of these, there's a good 4 or 5 inches into the ground. Now, I don't know what that's for. I can't tell you that Bigfoot do that. But I find that more interesting than the bushcraft shelters that we see. And I'm hoping now you're seeing all of them, that you might actually recognise them when you're out and about in your own yards. And maybe if you've got an EMF meter, or you don't mind dowsing, or you're good at pendulums or feet on the ground, could you check them and see if that energy changes in any way? Does it increase it? Does it take it down? Is there a reason for it? I honestly cannot think of another reason that these would be like this. It's not foragers. It's no good for bushcrafting. It's nothing to do with anything that I can think of that a human being would be doing. But as you've just seen there, they go all the way back. And this is just from a few selected images that I'm trying to show you. Just making sure you can still see them. And this just continues. It's really, really strange, isn't it? I'm just checking chat as well while I'm at it. But honestly, I don't want to like bore you to death with the same stick all of the time. I think what I'm trying to get across is when we're out in the woodlands, we find an awful lot of things: bushcraft shelters, survival shelters, bivvies, you know, the old one, yeah. And then you've got things that are like deer. You've got deer, things that happen to trees that people include within their Bigfoot research, and they say this is 100% Bigfoot, and I don't think it is. Now I want to look at stick leans, and these interest me because they always point in a different direction, and they are usually, as you can see from these, a different colour to the tree that they are leaning on, almost like a way marker. So once again, we tested it, we followed them, and probably every, 50 yards or so, there would be another one pointing in a different direction. And they tended to follow, as you can see on these pictures, the deer trails and the runs that the animals make. The one you're seeing currently is in Cloddymoss in Scotland. And around this time of year in Cloddymoss, we often get photographs sent of deer legs hung up in trees. And someone mentioned that earlier on the premiere. And I've seen it in Wales and in Shropshire as well, where a deer's leg is hung really high up in a tree. And I'll show you some photographs of it as we go on. But I want to concentrate on these stick leans at the moment, because anyone who's out there saying, right, Deb, you can't tell us everything's crap out there and then be out there investigating yourself. But to remember, these are 2012. So when I was bringing these in, I knew about bushcraft and I knew about survival, but I was so focused on everything being a wild man that I ran around looking at stick structures for the longest time. And I'm hoping by showing you the mistakes that I've made that you won't have to do that. So you see, like here, the sticks are usually a very different colour. They don't fall from the tree above. They are from trees that sometimes could be 20 or 30 feet away, pinning to the ground again, and then leaning up against a tree. So usually a direction pointer. So if you see anything like this when you're out and about, I'd love you to post it in BBR so that we can show that these signs are being seen all across the country, because each of these photographs from a different area. That being, we don't obviously, there's no point in putting 30 things in from one woodland in Scotland. What we need is pictures from all over the place, and that's what this is. It's from Scotland all the way down to Cornwall, so that we can see that the similar things are happening. You see this teepee shape here that I'm talking about? Yeah, it's on your screen now. That teepee was one of the ones that affected the energy of a mobile phone. And there's another one coming further up. And several people now have tested them with EMF meters and dowsing. And that teepee seems to have something to do with an energy source. It would make a very good shelter. It's just 2 or 3 sticks leaning up against a tree. So what's it there for? You can't throw a tarp on it. You can't use it as a debris shelter. And most of the sticks, as you can see, they're quite thin. They're not substantial. They wouldn't hold anything up. And I don't know why a human would do it, or several humans all across the UK would do it. I don't understand. But as you notice on the picture I'm showing you now, there are very early signs of blackberry there. And as a human, we wouldn't eat them at this stage, but the deer do. They've got, when those tiny little buds form, there's an enormous amount of spring sugars and like vitamin C in there, and they do actually eat them. And I started to realise that maybe some of these sticks could be pointing the way to food, or indicating that there's a food source here. I was speaking to Vicky yesterday, and she was talking about snaps and things like that, and we'll look at some of those in a moment. And I didn't remember to tell her that I think sometimes the snaps are usually in an area where you have a food source, or pointing in the direction of the river or something like that. But as you can see, if you've never accessed the photo images in BBR, you really should, because these are the kind of things that other people have been finding since the year 2000, around 2008, 2009. So for quite a while. Right, let me start. I can talk to you. Can't see it at the moment. Damn laptop. There we go. Right. So yeah, so that's just some of them. That's just the tree leans and the sticks that lean up against a tree. And I'll put some more in this. I could just want to talk to you about it. This is my stylus, so let's use this as the stick. So you're walking along the woodland and you find a stick like this just implanted into the ground. And this doesn't seem to be any reason for it whatsoever. Pull it out and it's got a muddy end. It's clearly been pushed in there. It's not growing. It's not a natural stick. It's not done that by itself. I don't see why a human would do it, unless it was a way marker. But normally when you blaze a trail, you make a mark on a tree. Some people will leave tape up. I just tend to just snap a small branch so you know that you've gone that way, because you need to see your blaze from either way. A lot of people make the mistake of going in, blazing a tree, getting to the destination, and when they're coming back, the blaze is on the back side of the tree. So they don't know where they've been. So if you're one of those people who marks a tree, mark it back and front. You'll often find with the way markers that if you stand at one and look directly nose on to the way that it points, it will lead you to the next one. Now, I don't know if that's to do with this is the way that we're going and this is the way that we're going to be coming back, or, you know, if it's like the gypsy patterns where it's this is a good place to get food. This is a good place to stay. This is a good place to get food from, that kind of thing. I think it might be. That's my theory behind it. Right, let's go back and look at some more. I can see the chat. Hi, Celeste and Sharon. I can see you all chatting away in there. I'm just running about 4 screens at the minute, so you have to bear with me. Right. This laptop works completely the opposite way to my other laptops. It's a bit like driving in America at the moment for me. I'm driving on the wrong side of the road. But I will get it and I will train my brain. I always use a Chromebook. I'm really used to Chromebooks. But unfortunately, Chrome, in their wisdom, are kind of getting rid of them. Let me show you. Right, Deb, what should we be looking for? Weird things that look like that. What is the point of this? It's the asterisk, the one where there's lots of Mark's just looking at me then. I think he thought I was asking him a question. This layering of sticks, almost like a medicine wheel, is usually found right off the path or actually on the path itself. And I think that they work like a cairn. I think as each one passes through, it's shoved in. This is not wood damage. I mean, you get a lot of tick trees, and we'll go over that in a second. But these are not. These have been manipulated, haven't they? They've been put in a way that they stand out or mark something. And I'm unsure. I mean, the one there, Bigfoot Tony, is just absolutely amazing. That was struck in 8th of November 2016. So around this time of year, as the woodlands start to go quiet, and you can see a lot of them are around October, November time when you look at them. And I'm not sure why that is, but it's an anomaly. I've noticed these are Adams. Look, well, no, that one's Jason. There's some more of Adams as we go further down. So this is a collection of like Bigfoot Tony, Cat Chad, Charmaine Fraser, Adam Bird, me, Stu Hill, John Chick. All of us over time have made these albums in the hopes that one day we'd be able to either debunk them or rule them out. Is that Vinca language again for you? And those signs that I've been showing you now appear within that Vinca language. One of the hardest things I have is there are so many people that actually want to learn about how to go and look in the woodland. You know, what to go and look for. What do I want to look for, Deb? Or, you know, what's this or what's that? And it's really hard for me because I can't take the time out to sit down with everyone for hours on end and show them. So I'm hoping if I do a number of videos like this where you can see them, that way I'd be able to make it quicker for everyone. Let me just check my notes a sec. 1 second. So I want to talk about how it started for me. Somebody said to me the other day, like, what was it like for you, Deb? Or people will say to me, oh, you won't understand if I tell you. I say, oh, God, I will. So now I'm probably going to speak about some things that I haven't spoken about before. It started for me in about 2012 when I used to regularly walk the dog. Now, I hadn't worked out at that point all about Bigfoot and the whole 9 yards and none of that. But I was researching in a false name, Deborah Wildman. And I was kind of Skype about that time. I jumped in with Bill Green and them in Skype, and I was learning about the Americans and what they were finding because I wanted to know if I could find the same things in my woodland. So I started just going out with the dog at first because I was scared to go back in. I was really, really worried that if I went in, he'd get me because I was still stuck in that period at that time. And I'd gone a few times and it felt like I was being watched on a number of occasions. I was looking behind over my shoulder all the time and stuff. And the dog had reacted weirdly a few times. And used to come down with me, didn't you, Mark? And like he'd come down and get me in and everything. And then when the dogs were with him, they were fine. But like if I was in there with my dog, she'd be a bit, I don't know, she was just a bit wary, wasn't she? Like, and even once, Leroy was the big dog we had then, he wasn't scared of anything. But there's one particular part of that wood that I don't like, and he actually reacted at it. And I remember looking at him thinking, oh, thank God it's not just me. And every time we used to go, I used to say to you, I'm not going through that bit, it knocks me sick. Yeah. There was something about that small piece of the area, it knocked me sick. It like physically knocked me off balance. And I was down there with an old friend once, and we were looking, and there was, there was nothing down there. And Layla messaged me and said, "No, I've just found this really weird shelter when I've been walking the dog." So I went with my old friend, and we looked everywhere, and we couldn't find it. We just couldn't find it anywhere, and it turned into a really strange day because we couldn't find the way home either. And we both knew that area of the woods like the back of our hands. And as we finally got our bearings and started to come under the train tunnel, we should have come out under the train tunnel, took a left, gone to the bottom fields, and you could walk right across to my house. And that day, you couldn't. An old oak tree had been tipped over, and it had cut that path off. And at the side of that, there was this weird, intertwined, I don't know what you'd call it, not big enough to be a shelter, but not something that a human had built. It was like all intertwined, and it was really intricate. And in it, you wouldn't be seen. And I think that's the first time I came across something that I couldn't actually understand. So I got on YouTube like everybody else has done, and people told me to go down there and start gifting. And that's what I did. I went down there. I think I've actually got photos of it, actually. Give me a sec, I'll pull them up. I went down there, and I started to leave like vine tomatoes. Anything that was natural, like honey, or I'm trying to think, peanut butter. Do you remember when my peanut butter jar went missing, Mark?
Yeah.
I was incredibly excited about that. I've got photos of it. Just give me a sec. It just vanished one day. I put the peanut butter down there because I thought, right, you've got to use a hand to get it off, haven't you? You can't just get that off. If it's a dog or something like that, it'll chew through it. And I know other people have done the same. I should have a picture here of it, actually. I've spotted it before. It's such a long time since I've been on this, in these images. It's hard for me to find. But push comes to shove anyway. I started to hear weird things when I was down there, and I thought I was absolutely cracking up. So there's one day I'm down there with Erica, and we're walking along, just talking, the pair of us, and this thing just goes boom. And I don't mean just a noise. It went boom, like the ground shook and everything. I know it's mining land. I've lived on it over almost 30 years. So I'm used to the booms from the mine. That wasn't that. This was energy. This was some form of energy that went boom. And me and Erica just looked at each other. We were so frightened we couldn't get out of there quick enough. And you got to imagine at the time I could hardly walk. So legging it out of there was not really an option for me. And then I realised that I'd made a bit of a mistake, because with that gifting came the things that started happening at home, didn't they, Mark?
Yeah.
So do you remember the night when, because in our old house, we had the front bedroom and Erica had the back bedroom. And that back bedroom used to open up onto the railway embankment, didn't it? Yeah. And at the back of that, there's nothing. It's just fields and things like that. I'm just trying to get off this page. Let me off so I can go back onto the internet. Stuck. This is hard. I'm going to have to get someone to come round here and show me how to change my tabs. It's not doing it.
Trial and error.
It's not trial and error. I can't get it to do it now. It's been doing it fine. There we go. There we go. Sorry about this, folks. You're just going to have to bear with me until I get it right. Yeah, so I go around there and things were just weird. I can't really put it into words, really, the weird stuff. But I knew that things had started happening at home. So we'd be at the house and Erica would be upset because she'd be hearing noises out on the embankment at night. Now, there used to be an owl and there was bats and there was a fox and there was all that kind of stuff. But this was sounded like breaking trees and limb branches. And there was one time when you went over the back fence and you chopped a lot of wood down in there. Do you remember? And the next night, Erica was like absolutely hysterical because it looked like a tree had been pushed down on the embankment. Do you not remember, Matt? He's not listening to me. He's on the Xbox. But yeah, that's what happened. Roy, you go and lie down, sweetheart. That's a good boy. That's a good lad. yeah, so Erica started to get upset, and we'd have like weird things that were appearing in the garden and stuff like that. And then this one day, me and her were down there, and it was an awful day. I didn't like it. She didn't like it. And I just said, oh, come on, let's go home. And it was really boggy down there. And as we turned to come back home, there was a footprint in the substrate, and it was filling with water really quickly. And I said to Erica, that's weird, because there was nobody else with us. It's desolate down there. There's nothing down there. You wouldn't go down there for any other reason. And I couldn't do the walk. My legs were that bad, I couldn't do the walk. So Erica said, like, there's another one here, Mum. Stride was about 5.5 feet between them. I couldn't have cast them. I couldn't do any of that because it would have been impossible for me to do it because they were filling up with water as we were talking. So I knew that that's how recent they were. And Erica followed them, and they went right to my back garden. And I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all. And I realised then that I dropped a massive clanger. I'd followed people's advice on YouTube without considering what effect it would have on me or my family. So I was encouraged in the beginning to go into the woodland and knock on trees and all of that and gift. And I think that brought it really, really close to my home. Really, really close to my home. And I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all. So there was another night when I were in the garden, I was trying to train myself really to sit in the garden in the dark. It was a beautiful house, absolutely beautiful, but I was scared of the garden, wasn't I, Mark? I couldn't sit out there. It was pitch black. There's no lights out there or anything like that. It's just black. You can't see anything, and you can't see your hand further than your face if you didn't have a light on it. That's how dark the back of our fence. And them dogs turned and ran and left me, and they have never done that before in their life. But they did. I'm in my wheelchair. The dogs just turned around and poof, gone. And I had to like wheel myself backwards as quick as I could on a path like that in the dark past a fire, because that's how you got me to start going outside. Yeah. I'd sit right next to the house, and Mark would make me a fire. And then the next time we'd go a bit further, and then we go a bit further, and then we go a bit further. And I kind of got myself into that thing where I could do that. And until the night where it went boom, and that was enough for me. I never, ever, I just went to the back fence the day after and I said, I'm done. I don't want nothing to do with any of this. Like, this is just, I'm absolutely terrified. And I really, really was, because I was finding all of these weird things as well. So I'd go to the Americans and I'd say, like, oh, I found this. And they'd be like, oh, that means a dogman's going to come and kill you. And, oh, that means they're going to come round to your house. And none of that happened. I was able to shut it down myself with a bit of willpower. But I've spoken to so many people since who have had or been in a similar situation where they've had an interest in the subject, or they've had an experience of their own, and they want to go into the woodland and they want to start looking for proof, either for themselves or to prove to others. And if you're not given the advice that it can go a bit dark for you, if you're not careful, you're bound to make that mistake, aren't you? And so I did. And it went really dark for me, unfortunately. So I ended up being terrified again. So I'd gone from like being scared, I'd got confident with it, and then I got scared again. And I shut my laptop for 18 months, didn't I? Yeah. So walked away from BBR, shut my laptop, said, that's it, I'm done. Because I was really frightened at that point that he was going to come over the back garden and come into my house. We left that house 18 months ago, and I still could not sleep with the bathroom window open. I was that frightened that something was going to come up and in through that window. And people can say I'm exaggerating if they want. My gut told me not to leave that window open, and we just never did I? I mean, fortunately here, there's nothing here. You couldn't get to my house. You'd have to, you wouldn't be able to get to my house if you were a Bigfoot, I suppose. I haven't experienced anything bad like that here. But I did at the old house, I've got to be honest. And I'm hoping, like, as going forward, if anyone else is out there, that you think about that before you go into the woodland. It's not all roses, and it's not. It can be awful. Billy will tell you that. Billy can go in certain areas of this wood and he's absolutely fine. But in different areas of this. Mark, have you got an HDMI that I can plug into this? It's really choppy because you've got the Xbox on. Right, I'll get myself a wire for next week. Yeah, so it's not as choppy. Our Jodie's going to come on next week with a friend, and they're going to talk about their experiences growing up with me and having to put up with the Bigfoot stuff and the stuff that they went through, because it went really, really dark for Jodie, really dark, and she's only just at the stage now where she's ready to talk about that. And I said to her, weirdly enough, Jo, I've been talking to people. Marcus, sorry, she just left it on. It's fine. Okay. I said, so I've been talking to people and they're having a lot of dark stuff going on. And she went, Mum, I don't mind. I'll come on your live stream and talk about it. So some of you will have seen Erica, my youngest, on my live, which is rare that you see my eldest daughter, Jodie, but she said she's going to talk about her experiences. Because like me, she sees things around her bed and really dark, disturbing things. And I know lots of people in the chat have to, put up with that as well. So let's get me notes out. It's weird not having me. We have a laptop in favor. I don't know how it started for me. This is what I put. Gifting, and then I started to get grunts, huge thuds, dark shadows. I didn't like that. And then bangs on the fence, trees ripped up on the embankment, and footsteps to my home. I didn't talk about the dark shadows, did I? I'd be in the woodland and I'd be doing my thing. I used to sit down and I'd try and tune into nature and tune into them. And there was a number of occasions where I seen like a really dark, what you would class as a shadow figure, move between the trees really quickly. And I didn't like that. And there's actually a video, if you go all the way back to the olden days on my, you'll find a video. It might actually be unlisted. I need to go back and check. And I woke up one morning and at the time I'd had my leg reset. So I wasn't up and walking about again. When they fixed it originally, they didn't fix it right. So I had to keep, every 18 months, I had to keep breaking my leg and try resetting it. So not long since I had an operation. I couldn't get out of bed and go for a pee or anything like that. And there was something in my bed and it was really annoying me. And it was like the Princess and the Pea. Do you remember? And I found that piece of orange quartz. And as I picked it up, it split into two. And I don't know why, but I put it in a little cloth bag and I put it around my neck. And I was insistent that we put it into one of the trees in the woodland where I used to sit. I don't know why, but I just followed me gut and I did it. And by the next summer, I could walk on, Mark could get me in there and I could sit for a bit and then Mark could bring me home. So I got to that stage where I'd sit in the wood and I'd close my eyes and I think, right, Dad, don't open your eyes for 10 seconds. Get really, really brave. And I'd do it for 10 seconds and then I'd do it for 20 seconds and then I'd do it for 30 seconds. And then I started filming. I was like, it took my mind off being scared and it was easy for me to do. And one day as I turned my camera, this blue flash just come out of a birch tree. It was blue and it just went like that. And I just thought, that was fucking energy. That was energy. And there was another time when I was there with Erica and we'd been out, we'd walked around the area and she said to me, Mum, can you see that? And it's like a set of woods and it's split by a train line and the woods and the fields are on the other side. But while you're originally in the first bit, there's the woodland, a bit of a meadow and the woodland at the top. So we're there and I said to her, no way. And she points across, you got to look across the green and see. And I was like, actually, yeah, I can. And they said, it was like, it just popped up and it was all dark. You couldn't see anything. It was just shadowy and it popped up and then another one did it and another one did it. And we're looking at each other and I'm like, oh my God. And I get my phone out, like not took my eyes off him and I've got my phone and I'm thinking, oh my God, I've got him on camera. And I actually said to Erica, oh my fucking God, I've got him on camera. I've got him on camera. And it was like, I couldn't believe it. And they just vanished. So I stopped it, gets the video, pulls it up, video's there. Do you not remember this? Gets the video, pulls it up, the video's there. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, all the way home and thinking, what do? Do I keep it to myself or do I share it? So I gets in the house and I think, first thing I'm doing is going on my laptop so I can make a backup of it. I puts it into my laptop, nothing. Every photo up to that moment was absolutely fine and in a numbered sequence. And then it skipped my video. Say the video was 19, it went 1 to 18 and then 20 on. It was gone. It wasn't on my video at all. And I was so mad. Do you remember how mad I was?
Yeah.
I was so mad. I actually went back down there and shouted. And I was like, and that it was that lesson, though, that taught me that it wasn't about me. It was about them. I think they were showing themselves to me then. And the first thing I thought was is to film them. And I don't think that's what I should have done. I think I should have just communed, and I didn't. I was just so excited. I was like, my camera was like, I couldn't hold it together. I'm thinking, oh, thank God, because people won't think I'm a nutter now. I've got them on camera. There was another time when me and Mark were down there, and you'll remember this one. We were walking, and I found the perfect footprint. You better put your head down, son. The perfect footprint in the mud, right? Perfect, absolutely perfect. And he went, where? And scraped his stick through it. And I was so mad, wasn't I? I was so mad at him. I was like, oh. So you can be out there in the woodlands as much as you want, yeah, but it's very rare you're going to find anything, because a lot of it is wind damage. So one thing I'd suggest, and I've made a note of, I get sent a lot of tipped over trees, and one really quick trick in identifying them is go and look at the root end. If the root's up and the mud's up with it, that's just a really shallow rooted tree and the wind struck it down. If it's sawn, you know that a human's done it and it's been sawn. You look in the mud, see if there's any signs of like feet marks or the ATV, or whether a tractor's been in. Look for that, and there's also a phenomenon that I can't say, where a tree will suck up a lot of water, moisture, and as you freeze, that moisture expands and it's like a blowout on the tree. So all of those rule out. So if you see anything like that, so like I say, if the tree's like this and it tips, and you've got that root end that's sat like that, would make a bloody good natural shelter, disregard it. That's the wind that's done that. Yeah. But there are some things that you should be looking for in that sense. If it's been uprooted and turned and shoved in, that happens in lots of people's research area, an actual upside down tip tree. I've also seen in my own research area and others, a live tree that's been pushed down so that it stays green and continues to grow, but it's a huge barrier for you to walk through. And when it happened where I lived, I couldn't understand why it happened. What was the significance of blocking off that path? Because there'd always been that path there, hadn't they, Mark? It had always been there. And when I finally managed to get back in there again, there was 7 hazelnut trees. And I think that was being used like, you can F off, these are ours. But that was the area that I'd been gifting in. And I would imagine these people out there thinking, this woman's absolutely crazy. She needs burning at the stake. I thought it was absolutely crazy. And so do a lot of the witnesses when they're out there, because they're going through all of this stuff. They're hearing those grunts, or they feel like they're being followed or watched when they're in the woodland. Yeah. So one of the things I wanted to talk to people about was, put yourself, to make it really easy, I think, put yourself in the position of being a fugitive. So that you've had to, you're in the woodland and you've got to walk through it, right? You're not going to leave any other sign really other than your footprints. So if you wanted to not be followed, you would eradicate those footprints. In the army, they'll lay a false trail. So if someone's searching for you, will follow your footprints that way, and you've literally gone that way. So it's like evasion, and I think they do the same thing. So they are not walking around the woodland, ripping trees up and making all these amazing shelters for their entertainment. That's not what's happening. There's a lot of misinformation out there. And there are a lot of unscrupulous YouTubers and Facebookers who will say to you, oh, yeah, that's definitely Bigfoot. That is a Bigfoot structure. That is a Bigfoot birthing, Jen. Well, unless you see a Bigfoot making it or giving birth in it, it's an anomaly and no more. And most of those anomalies are either made by humans, are done for foraging, done by weather, done by animals. But there is a core group that we keep So what I'm going to do over the next few weeks coming up is I'm going to show you some images and we're going to talk about them and why I've eradicated them or why I've kept them in there. You know, why would I keep them in there? So if I can dump this bloody screen, I might be able to show you some more. There we go. Every time I click on a new one, it goes to a big screen, and I don't know how to make it stop doing that. Some kind of Bigfoot structure, I would say. Let's have a look. I forgot I'd made this. This is, if only I could make them bigger for you. This is something I put together where I was trying to show what people should be looking at. There, I can put them together. So you notice this series of threes? 3 snaps there, 3 snaps there, 3 snaps there. All from a different area, all to do with different people. But they're a distinct snap in 3, all perpendicular. Now, I don't know any weather that would do that. That's been manipulated in some way. So that's something that I would class as an anomaly and be looking for when I was out in the woodland. So if you find any snaps or tree snaps and it's in more than one, please take some photographs of them. When you're taking some photographs, if I could suggest, you take them from several different angles. So as these have been sent in to me, there's one photograph. I can't see anything about the area. I can't see anything around it. I can't tell you if footprints had walked in. So if you could take some cameras shots further away, up close, different angle, take them from above, get low down, take them like that, we can pull a lot more information out of them. And also have a look what's in that area. Is there a food source around that? Is that why these 3 things are being left there or made like that? I don't know. These arches. Each of these arches has come from a different place. Now, I know that you see a hell of a lot of arches on YouTube and Facebook, but these, there's a natural phenomenon where a tree will get pinned as a sapling and it will make that arch. Or if the wind's really bad, it will bow and it will make that arch. Each of these structures that you're seeing have been pinned down into the ground. So that it's been forced down into the ground and something's been held there in a way. So Jason, which is Bigfoot Tony, is showing there that this stick, and I can't make it any bloody bigger for you. I'll put it in the group and I'll put it out on YouTube later so you can see it. But he's showing there's an actual locking mechanism. Now, a number of people have sat within these arches and said that the energy feels incredibly different. I haven't done it myself yet, but I know people who have. Now, I found out that each of these arches, the pinned end points to a water source. So it could be for both reasons, couldn't it? But it's an anomaly and not something that we would expect to happen naturally within a woodland. So that's an anomaly. Let's see what the next one is. So these are the breaks. So as you can see, these high up breaks. Now, I know a lot of you see them. Some of these can be weather or human related, but these have been checked. So no other trees around them has been hit by the wind and brought them down. There's no mechanical machinery that's come in and snapped them. It's not something that kids have done on making a swing or anything like that. And what we're looking at is the actual break itself, and the break is normally connected. So it's not blown out due to weather or ice or anything like that. Something has literally snapped that tree down. And it usually happens along a deer track or an animal track, and they always lead to water. So it could be something pointing out that this is a good place to stay, possibly. And there's, lots of food coverage around. These are twists, and the images are just not big enough. This first one here is actually from my old house. And that tree was snapped and twisted. Do you remember, Mark? Yeah. It was twisted and twisted and twisted. And you can see that these other ones are the same. Now, there's not weather phenomenon that does that. That has to be manipulated in some way. So things like that would stand out. Let me see. I'll find you some more. There's so many old photographs in here, it's astounding. Right, we've done that. What, try and find the X's. Let me see if I can find the X's so I can show you what to eliminate. Do you know, there should be footprints in here and everything. I probably scanned past them. You see how many of them are. This is why I need to sit down one week and just go through them and eliminate anything that's not worth keeping. Let's see this. Debbie, research. What year is this? 2015. That's me up to me neck in mud and bullets. There's that twist. You can see it much better now. I had a feeling it might be in here. This was the night that Erica heard all of the snapping and the banging on the embankment. And it's the end bit there that I don't like going in. I really don't like that. Now, this should be annihilated because this is just wood clearing. And back then, I'd seen that as some kind of structure or hide, and it's not. It's just natural wood. So I got a bit of head of myself there up Winterhill. But you see what I mean? I've made all these mistakes, so there's no point you guys making them as well. And I'm not going to ever be able to fit it into one live stream, am I? It's always going to take me a long time. But I just don't have the time to sit down and go through with everyone all of the time. Right, I'm not getting rid of this tab now. It's annoying me. There we go. I think I know what I need to do. That might help. There we go. Yeah, I've worked it out. So, is there anyone in the chat that wants to ask me a question? Right, Deb, what should we be looking for? And I might be able to explain it. I never smoke on camera, but I am. I'm really warm considering it's been hailstoning. It's a bit warm in here, isn't it? Yeah. Hold it off chatting away in the chat. I was just reading it, trying to keep up with it. Right, let's see what I've got left on me notes. Right, I wanted to talk to you about collecting things forensically and how we should go about it. So you'll see a lot of videos online where they will just show you like the footprint, and it'll be like, oh, we found this footprint, and they haven't put a scale item in, so you don't know how big it is. They haven't taken any pictures around the footprint, so you just get this single footprint, and they've kind of drawn on it so you can see what the foot looks like. And that's really hard for an investigator because there's got to be some kind of scale item in there. So if you don't put your lighter in or your own boot or anything like that, nobody knows that that footprint could be 3 inches long or 12 inches long. So when we're collecting it forensically, what we should be doing is, if you can't cast it or anything like that, take as many photographs of it as you can from several different angles, because we'll be able to see a lot more. If you've got a torch on you, light that print up, yeah, get it lit up, and then take your photograph so we can see. And don't mess with it, because if there is any DNA off a footprint, it will be where that's been left as it's walked. If you are going to cast it, you do not want to move any of the debris from the bottom, because that is the layer where any hair or DNA will be. But what you have to do is, you've got to forensically collect that. You can't just come and say, right, I found this footprint, and on my word, it's 19 inches long. We need photos. What made you take, what were you doing that day? Why were you in the woodland that day? Well, I was researching, so I was filming, and I spotted it while I was filming. And you think, right, that's great. There needs to be that backstory. What are you filming for in the woodland? And it's the same with things like, let me get my notes. DNA finds. So let's talk about hair and things like that. There are hair samples in the UK that people have found, and they have collected it. But unfortunately, I have 2 hair samples, and they were not collected by the researcher forensically. So I only have their story to go off. that they found that print in their local area after gifting and putting food out. And they picked that hair up and put it in an envelope. So it's already contaminated. There was no photographs of the hair in situ or anything like that. It was just presented as evidence, which is great, but there's no backstory to it. That could have been a hair off a dog. It could have been a hair off a horse. It could have been pulled from somebody's head. There was no photographs of it in situ, and there was no video of it in situ. So it was just sent in an envelope as this is a a Bigfoot hair. So you can't do anything with that. So even if that hair was from a Bigfoot, if I tried to have it tested now, it was contaminated with human DNA. And if they are some form of human relative, that would just, well, it's got human DNA in it, so we disregard it. And that's what we do all of the time. We disregard any Bigfoot sample that comes in that's got human DNA in it. Well, if they're human, they might have a genome very similar to ours. And that's why we have to be collecting professionally, in a professional way. There's no point just going out and then popping up on Facebook and going, right, I've just found this footprint and this DNA attached to this footprint. On my word, you should be sharing with people, there's a video of when we found it. These are the photographs that we took of it in situ. This is the photograph taken of us casting it. This is the photograph taken after casting. Those photographs have metadata, and we can prove that that sequence of events happened. Other than that, all you've got is a cast of a print that you could have put there yourself. So in a lot over the last 3 years, people have called me a bully. They've said I'm a cow. They said I'm jealous. All of the bad negative things that go with, I can't accept that print because you haven't collected it forensically. There's nothing I can do with it. Anybody that I could send it to would say to me, Debbie, this has been contaminated. It's not been collected correctly. And I'd have to say, yeah, I know. So if you have you're out and out, put a pair of tweezers in your kit, or a Ziploc bag of some kind in your kit. So if you do find anything like a hair or anything like that, take a photograph of it in situ, pick it with the tweezers so you're not contaminating it, straight into the bag, take a photograph, seal the bag up, name and date, stick a sticker on it. Yeah, take it home, put it in your freezer. And when we can finally find someone who's prepared to start, it costs a lot of money to do a DNA test. Probably around £2,000 at the moment, but eventually it will be much easier, and then we can use it. But it hasn't been collected in that way, then we just can't. We can't use it for anything. It's absolutely pointless. So get yourself a little kit bag together. I used to stick a torch in my bag, even a dog poo bag. If you've got some of those dog poo bags, they are clean when they come out. Nobody's touched them other than you. Put your hair in that till you get home, and then forensically get it in a jar or whatever. But do not touch it with your hands. Whatever you do, do not touch it with your hands. You want to, even if you've not got use a twig, use anything other than your hands, because we then have to throw that away. So I've had people who have cast a print, and they've shown me the print, and they've removed all of the debris from the bottom. And you're like, oh, that debris would have possibly had some form of DNA, some skin cells, hair, or anything like that. And they haven't done that. So then it's like, I can't accept that either, unfortunately. I'm quite sure Jeff Meldon gets prints sent to him all over the UK. And he once asked me to send some from Britain. And I put a pile of them together, and each and every one of them was discredited because there was no scale item within it. There was no time of date when it was found. There was nothing. There wasn't any description, like this was found on, 12 o'clock on Friday the 13th of 1969. It was cold at the time. Just anything, any note that you can think about, write it down, because someone's going to ask you that question. They're going to say, what was the weather like when you were out there? Was it muddy? Well, people have been walking around, was it snowing or whatever? So Joe's just made a good comment. She said that maybe I could put some things out on the community page. I'm more than happy to do that. Dave Davis, who you see in the chat, actually put a document together for me that teaches you how to cast a Bigfoot print with things that you can get from your chemist. And I can quite happily pull that out of the archives and get it out there again, because he talks you through the actual situation. Stu Hill was incredibly clever. He found a hair on a pine cone, huge pine cone like that from Brunton, and he just put the bag over the entire pound and sent it to me. And he's like, right, Deb, there's the sample. And I was able to then get my tweezers and manipulate the sample and have a look at it without touching it. And it's sealed up, and I've still got it to this day. And if it's eventually, when we find someone to test it, then I'll be doing that. We'll test it kind of thing. But that's important. You'd have to do a good GoFundMe or something like that at the minute. And that would be pointless because I don't know anyone to send it to. I don't know anyone that would test, even if I paid for it, to be honest. So, I'm not really sure. The account you heard tonight about the police officers, the chap said that he's got a hair from the scene, and he's had it the entire time, and nobody's ever touched it or done anything with it. But I don't know where I'd go to get that tested in any way, shape, or form. I'm not sure. We'll have to cross for that bridge when the flood comes, as they say. Let me listen. There are other things I want to talk about. Audio. Right. If you are out in the woodland and you hear strange audio, pull your phone out your pocket and just record it. It doesn't matter if it's a cow or machinery or something else. We can debunk that later on. It's really hard to describe a sound if you don't tape it. So you get lots of people will put a dictaphone or something like that within something waterproof and leave it out in their land. I know Dave Davies has done that, and he's got some cracking audio with it. You can even hear footsteps running in the rain kind of thing, and he does that. But that's down the line. What we're talking about now is, say you're going in for your first time tomorrow. You're going into a woodland for the first time tomorrow. What do you do? I didn't think of that. Mysterious Forest is saying I should send it to Adam Davies. That's a possibility. Well, the first thing you should do, in all honesty, is you need to be looking online at bushcraft shelters. You need to be looking online at bivvies, natural bivvies. You need to be looking online about foraging and the things that people do and leave behind in the woodland and the foraging. If you get onto Mysterious Forest, he's in my chat now. If you can see him there, get onto his channel and subscribe to him. He knows more about Bigfoot structure than any person I know in the world anywhere. And I've talked to people who were Canadians whose generations go back centuries. Mysterious Forest, I hope you don't mind me saying it, John. His name's John, has done more work on the woodland than anybody I know. So if you want any help on structures and your finds, that's who you need to be getting in touch with. And if you can't get to him through his YouTube channel, just email me and I'll get in touch with him for you. Yeah, and we'll do it like that. One day, John, you are going to sit down with me and we're going to do an interview, whether it's on camera or not, because that knowledge that you've got needs to be shared. And you've got so much that I cannot share all of it for you. So John's got videos of them where he's actually done a comparison shot. And that's one thing I wanted to talk about. If you find something in the woodland, like a dark shape or something in your images when you go home, go back as soon as you can. Stand in the same place and take another photograph or another video. And if that dark anomaly is not in there, we know we're onto something. There's a very famous photo of a Bigfoot in Ireland, and I'm not going to name any names. John knows who I'm talking about. And it is clearly a stump with snow on. And this is a place where the woman walks daily with her dogs. So she's passed that stump a million times. And that day, it looked like a Bigfoot. So she took a photograph of it. And we asked her to go back over and over again. And she just wouldn't do it. And me and John said, that's because the stump will be in the photograph, won't it? It might not have snowed, but we'd be able to go, that's a stump and that stump's still there. So if you want to be believed, if you want your evidence to be legitimate, then you need to go back and take a comparison shot. You're asking somebody, you've all seen it, those photographs that you get with a million red rings around them, and people say there's 71 dogmen in here, 2 face eaters and a Bigfoot. Well, go back and take that photograph again, because I guarantee that we can at least say, that's a bit of shadow, same time of day, try and replicate what you've taken. Because if you're not debunking your own evidence, then you're presenting everything of evidence. And I've made that mistake. I've had people running around looking for all sorts of things, and I was wrong. I was like, no, I can understand that now. I accept that that's something else, and I just get rid of it and move on to something. And I think that's what tonight is about, other than these nutters chatting in the chat, because I do it for Joe and Brian, because they want a Debunk every Saturday. I'm hoping a little bit that I've managed to get some of it across to you. It's incredibly manic, and it's really hard to do because I'm trying to get 12 years of research over in what? How long have we been on? 40 minutes, something like that. And that's impossible. I can't do it. So I think what I'm going to do is we're going to start with, we've done today, you know, what to look out for possibly. You've got a few ideas in your head now. So you feel like you've got a few tools when you go in. And then what I'll do is I'll put some files together over the next few weeks for us, and we'll look at them, and I'll say, right, I think that these are legitimate. I don't think we can explain them away. And I'll also feature some sighting reports that maybe discuss that. Yeah. So if you've got video, I've got all of John's, he sent them in. I've got lots of other people. So I'll put something together for us, and we'll do that. Like I say, next weekend, I think if we can't do it next weekend, we'll do it weekend after. My daughters are coming on. Tom's just been in for his operation, so he's recuperating for a couple of weeks. So I've got the time to do it. I've got new reports that have come in, but I'll share them as I do anyway. But I'm just hoping that today, if there's something in it that I've spoken about that you can take home and think, right, and you might spot it, please keep your eye out for those. I'd love to know what those sticks rammed in the ground are about. They've bugged me since 2011. I just don't know. If you find any in your research area, take some photographs of them for me. And the other thing I wanted to impress on you is when you see the map, or someone says to you, oh, there's been a Bigfoot report at Cannock, or there's been a Bigfoot report here. That creature is not stood there 24/7 waiting for you all to come. It's being seen as it's moving from somewhere going to somewhere else. So it's more important to work out the route rather than stay in the actual spot. So you get what I mean? So if you take a photograph tomorrow and you catch him, or you have a sighting of him tomorrow and you catch him, he's not going to be there the next day at that time. I think they're just moving through areas, and then that's when we catch a glimpse of them. Can't prove that, but that's my opinion. So start to find a wood where you live, where it's easy for you to get to, and visit that wood as often as you can, and simply just get to know it. So then eventually you will start to see things that'll stand out, and you think, hang on, that's a bit weird. Or you might hear something strange, or you might hear a wood knock or something like that. Go back if you can. Just keep going back so you get to know that wood like the back of your hand. All right, Roy. Well, I get the hint. Even my dog, let him go, Mark. It's fine. Yeah, even my dog wants me to think. He's like, come on, Mum, I want you now. What's up? What's wrong? You have to come this side. Well, you have to come around this side. Right. Look, Mum's working. Don't knock my laptop.
Come on, look at.
That's a good boy. That's a good lad. Go and get a treat off your dad. Go and get a treat off your dad. Yeah, you can go and get a treat. But yeah, so I hope it wasn't too complicated for you. And next time I might be able to work my laptop a bit better. Thank you to everybody who offered to send me their laptop or to give me some money to buy one. Fortunately, I was able to buy one myself. I didn't need that, but I was really, really appreciative of the people that said that they would do that for me. I normally work on a Chromebook, and I just got used to doing that. So I know them like the back of my hand. So it's just a new system that I'm working my way around. But it's much easier for me to share things online. So when I'm talking about things in the live stream and I can't show you the images, it just seems pointless to me, So I will definitely be back. Hopefully next week. You'll enjoy it if our Joe's on and our channel, as we call her. I'll probably get Erica back on again. I think Layla wants to come on and share her strange experiences. So it's that kind of time for sharing. And I'll be back at the same time on the same day next week. Thank you to every single one of you that tuned in tonight. I really, really appreciate it. I can see a lot of regulars and I can see a lot of new faces, and that tells me I'm doing the right thing. So I'll just keep doing that. So until then, it's good night from me, good night from Mark, and good night from Roy. Good night, everyone.
Yeah.